Have you ever had that moment where the charming, confident person you thought you knew suddenly reveals a darker side? It might happen in a flash. A sudden, furious outburst over a small inconvenience, a vicious lie told with a straight face, or a cold, calculated stare that you've never seen before. That's what happens when a narcissist's mask finally breaks. It's a terrifying moment, a glimpse behind the curtain into a reality you were never meant to see. At first, narcissists appear magnetic, almost too good to be true. They seem kind, generous, charismatic, and they have an uncanny ability to make you feel like the most important person in the world. But behind that polished mask lies a profound insecurity, a paralyzing fear of rejection, and a desperate, insatiable need for control. The breaking of the mask is the moment when their carefully crafted illusion can no longer hold up. It's when reality crashes into their fantasy, and the true self, the vulnerable, terrified, and empty person, is finally revealed. And in this video, we're going to explore exactly what happens when that mask shatters, and why it changes everything. We'll delve into the psychology behind this shocking moment, explain the common triggers that lead to it, and show you why, while it may be painful, it is also the most crucial step toward your own freedom. Stay tuned, because what you'll discover may explain the sudden shifts you've witnessed in your own relationships. Psychologists describe the mask as the false self a narcissist shows to the world. It's an image of perfection they've spent a lifetime building, a public persona of supreme confidence, unwavering charm, and effortless success. This mask is a suit of armor, meticulously designed to hide the profound emptiness, shame, and insecurity that lies underneath. They are, in essence, a master actor, constantly performing a role to get the applause and admiration they so desperately crave. Every polished smile, every boastful story, every grand gesture is a part of this performance, a calculated attempt to secure the attention and validation they need to survive. So why do they wear this mask? Because deep down, narcissists fear rejection and exposure above all else. They believe that if others saw their true self vulnerable, insecure, flawed, and utterly dependent on others for their sense of worth, they would be abandoned. They are convinced that no one would ever truly love them for who they are. Therefore, the mask is a psychological shield, a way to outrun the demons of their own self-hatred. It allows them to live in a fantasy world where they are the hero, where they are admired and envied by all. It is their only defense against the unbearable truth that they are not, in fact, the magnificent person they pretend to be. This is a truth so terrifying that they will go to extreme lengths, lying, manipulating, and coercing others to prevent it from ever being revealed. The mask is not for your benefit. It is a desperate act of psychological survival for them. But here's the question. Have you ever felt like someone in your life seemed too perfect, almost as if something didn't quite add up? That instinct, that quiet feeling that there was a piece missing from the puzzle, might have been your first glimpse behind the mask. So what causes the mask to break? Psychologists explain a few common triggers that create a psychological pressure so intense the narcissist's carefully constructed facade can no longer hold. The mask is designed to deflect any threat to their fragile ego, but when these specific triggers hit, the pressure becomes too great and the mask shatters, revealing the raw, unpolished, and often terrifying reality underneath. One of the most powerful triggers is the loss of control. A narcissist's entire sense of self-worth is dependent on being in control of their environment, of other people, and of the narrative of their life. When you stop reacting to their manipulation, when you use a technique like gray rock or simply choose to walk away, you are dismantling the very system that keeps their ego alive. To them, your lack of reaction isn't a sign of peace. It's a terrifying loss of power. It's like a car running out of gas on a deserted highway. They are suddenly left powerless, and that feeling is a profound narcissistic injury that they cannot handle. The mask slips, and their true panicked emotions spill out. Furious rage, quiet despair, or even a desperate attempt to regain power. Another major trigger is exposure. A narcissist lives in a world of illusion, a meticulously constructed fantasy in which they are the hero, the victim, or the most important person in the room. This illusion is maintained by their ability to control the narrative. But when someone calls out their lies or contradictions, when their true colors are revealed in public, the mask shatters. To a narcissist, public humiliation is their greatest fear, because it is a direct assault on the image of perfection they have spent a lifetime building. In that moment of exposure, the internal shame and insecurity they've been running from rise to the surface, and they will lash out with a disproportionate and terrifying rage. This is the moment they lose control of the narrative, and it is a psychological emergency for them. The third, and perhaps most painful, trigger is rejection. A narcissist's sense of self-worth is entirely external, and it is entirely dependent on the validation of others. When you set boundaries, walk away, or refuse to play along, you are rejecting not just their actions, but their entire false self. This rejection is a profound narcissistic injury that they cannot handle. It triggers a deep, existential fear of abandonment that they have been running from their entire lives. The mask breaks, and you are left with the raw, desperate reality of a person who is terrified of being alone, terrified of being seen for who they truly are. It's in these moments that the real person behind the performance shows up, and that's when you see what they're truly made of. When the mask of a narcissist finally cracks, what you witness can feel shocking, confusing, and even frightening. The polished, charming, and carefully controlled image they once presented to the world vanishes almost instantly, and in its place appears a raw, unfiltered, and unhinged version of who they really are beneath the disguise. This is not just a temporary slip or a moment of weakness. It is the true reality of the narcissist without the layers of performance they worked so hard to maintain. Seeing this side of them can be painful, but it is also crucial for your healing, because it helps you understand that the relationship you thought was real was never truly real at all. What you were connected to was an illusion, and when that illusion collapses, the truth begins to show itself in ways that are impossible to ignore. The first behavior you are likely to see is an explosion of sudden, uncontrollable anger or rage that feels completely out of proportion to the actual situation. This is not just someone getting upset. It is not a normal, balanced emotional reaction. Instead, it is a primal, desperate outburst that comes from their overwhelming need to maintain control. They lash out with fury because in that moment they feel powerless, and their rage becomes a mask for their deep internal shame. The intensity of their anger is not a reflection of you or anything you have done. It is a reflection of the unbearable fear they feel inside when their mask slips. This rage becomes a weapon, a performance meant to scare and intimidate you. They want you to be so shaken and so afraid that you will abandon your boundaries, give up your clarity, and run back into the cycle of abuse, where they hold all the control. Their fury is not strength. It is desperation disguised as power. Next comes the blame shifting. When the mask breaks, narcissists cannot and will not take responsibility for their own actions. They are too terrified of being exposed as flawed, vulnerable, or wrong. To protect themselves from that reality, they immediately turn to rewriting history. They twist conversations, deny things they previously admitted, and flip every situation upside down until you are left questioning your own memory. They will tell you things like, "If you hadn't done this, I wouldn't have reacted that way," or "You forced me to behave like this. It's your fault, not mine." The goal of this manipulation is simple: to regain control of the narrative. By making you feel guilty and responsible, they can distract you from seeing the truth and trick you into doubting yourself. In their minds, shifting blame allows them to escape accountability while convincing both you and themselves that they are not the problem you are. Then, when anger and blame do not get them the results they want, many narcissists turn to victim playing. This is when they dramatically shift their performance and suddenly act as if they are the ones who have been wronged. They will spin stories to anyone who will listen, portraying themselves as the misunderstood, abandoned, or mistreated one. To outsiders, they may appear wounded, fragile, and heartbroken, while you are painted as cruel, cold, or ungrateful. This act of self-victimization is not about seeking understanding. It is about gathering pity and sympathy from others. By doing so, they secure a new source of validation and attention while also punishing you by making others view you as the villain. In their story, they are always the innocent one, and you are always the one to blame. This manipulation is another attempt to regain power and to ensure they do not have to face the emptiness of their own reality. Finally, in some cases, you may witness what is known as a narcissistic collapse. This is where the mask falls so completely that even they cannot keep up the performance anymore. In these moments, they may appear lost, fragile, and desperate, almost like a shell of the person you once knew. They might seem confused, on the verge of tears, or so broken down that you feel tempted to comfort them or to go back just to ease their suffering. But it is important to remember that what you are witnessing is not genuine remorse. It is not a heartfelt awareness of the pain they caused or a true desire to change. Instead, it is the raw fear of being left alone, the unbearable terror of facing the emptiness that lies at the core of who they are. This collapse is their most vulnerable state, because without anyone to reflect back the image they want to see, they are forced to confront the truth of their hollow existence. And yet even this collapse is not about growth, it is about fear. Seeing these behaviors unfold can be deeply unsettling, but they also hold clarity. They reveal the truth of who the narcissist has always been beneath the performance. The anger, the blame, the victim playing, and the collapse, none of these are about you. They are about their desperate attempts to hide from their own shame and emptiness. Once you understand this, you can begin to detach from their chaos and reclaim your perspective. Have you ever had the experience of seeing someone's true side come out after you stopped letting them control the story? That moment of clarity, while painful, is the very first step toward freedom. It is the moment where you finally see that the relationship was not what you thought it was, and in that truth lies the beginning of your healing. It is the doorway to your strength, your peace, and your liberation from the cycle that once held you captive. Here's the surprising part. While the mask-breaking moment can feel chaotic and terrifying, it's also the most powerful moment for you. Up until that point, you have been living in a psychological fog, confused and hurt by a person who seems to be a walking contradiction. But once you see the narcissist without their mask, you can't unsee it. The illusion is shattered forever, and a profound clarity sets in. The charm they once used to lure you in loses its magic. Their tactics become predictable, and their control begins to fade. You will see their manipulations for what they are: desperate and pathetic attempts to regain a power they never truly had. You will realize that their rage is not a sign of your failure, but a testament to their own profound weakness. The breaking of the mask is not just a moment of profound psychological crisis for them, it is a moment of profound awakening for you. You finally see the truth, and that truth sets you free. In truth, the breaking of the mask is less about their loss and more about your awakening. The narcissist's response to the break. Psychologists often explain that when the mask of a narcissist finally slips, their reaction usually takes one of three forms. Each of these reactions is not a sign of strength or control, but rather a desperate attempt to escape from the crushing and unbearable feeling of defeat. Their behavior after being exposed reveals just how fragile they really are and how much they depended on the mask to survive in the first place. Once the mask falls, they feel vulnerable, exposed, and stripped of the power they worked so hard to maintain. In that moment, they feel utterly powerless, and everything they do is an attempt to cover that truth. The first way they might react is by doubling down. This is often their last resort, a frantic attempt to win back your trust and your attention. They will suddenly act as if they are ready to change, showering you with love bombing, endless apologies, and promises of a better future. They may tell you everything you once longed to hear, begging for your forgiveness, swearing that things will never be the same again. They will put on a performance of regret, a show that feels convincing in the moment because it is designed to reach straight into your heart. But it is important to understand that this is not real remorse. It is not coming from a place of true reflection or a willingness to change. It is a carefully constructed strategy, a manipulation to pull you back into the same cycle, to re-establish their control, and to make you continue playing their game. The second way they may respond is with attack. This is a harsh, angry, and deeply emotional reaction that often feels overwhelming. When they attack, it is not with reason or calm. It is with fury, with rage, and with the sharpness of words intended to cut you down. They may insult you, scream at you, or launch into smear campaigns where they try to destroy your reputation. They want to punish you for daring to see through them, for daring to unmask their illusion. This attack is not an act of strength, even though it may feel intimidating. It is a raw expression of their own desperation. In reality, it is a sign of psychological collapse, a frantic attempt to claw back some sense of control by hurting you. The venom they spit out is proof that they are losing their grip, and their rage is nothing more than a reflection of their fear. The third possible reaction is withdrawal. In this scenario, they disappear into silence, retreating from you as though you no longer matter. They may vanish completely, or go searching for someone new who will play the role you once did. On the surface, this looks like indifference, as though they no longer care, but beneath that silence lies a strategy. This withdrawal is not genuine peace. It is a temporary pause. They are retreating to gather themselves, to find a new source of supply, or to prepare for a future attempt to re-enter your life. The stillness, the silence, the distance, it can feel final, but it is rarely the end. It is the calm before another storm, another attempt to regain the control they lost. This is why they fear people who can see through them. Once their mask is broken, once their illusion is shattered, you have glimpsed a truth that most people never see. That truth is powerful. It may have been shocking, painful, even heartbreaking to discover, but it was also a moment of absolute clarity. In that instant, you saw the reality behind the performance. The person you believed you knew, the one you loved, trusted, and gave so much of yourself to, was never real. What you were attached to was an image, a mask carefully designed to meet your needs just enough to keep you close. The real person behind it was hidden, and now you finally see them for who they are. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. That truth stays with you. It changes how you look at them, how you understand the relationship, and how you view yourself. It brings pain, but it also brings freedom. This awareness gives you the chance to step back, to reclaim your power, and to remind yourself of one important truth. Their mask was never about you. It was always about them. Everything they did, the charm, the kindness, the promises, was never an expression of genuine love or commitment. It was all a performance, a desperate way to gain validation and feed the emptiness they carry inside. They were using you to outrun their own shame, insecurity, and self-loathing, and they needed you to play along in their act. Your healing begins when you accept this truth fully. It is the turning point, the place where you realize you can take your power back. For so long, you may have felt helpless under the weight of their manipulation, their lies, and their anger, but your power was never truly gone. It was only given away, loaned to them, because of the grip they held over you. Now it is time to reclaim it, to set firm boundaries, to step away, and to refuse to play the game any longer. This act of reclaiming is not selfish, it is survival. It is the statement that your peace, your well-being, and your joy are more important than their endless hunger for control. This is the step where true healing begins, where you begin to see your own strength and start to build a life that is filled with authenticity, with peace, and with real happiness. So the question becomes, are you ready to trust yourself again? Are you willing to listen to that quiet, inner voice that always spoke the truth, even when you doubted it? That voice, that gut instinct, is your compass. It is the one thing they could never touch, never manipulate, and never take away. It was always there, guiding you, waiting for you to trust it fully. That instinct is your strength, your inner light. When you lean into it, it will lead you toward freedom, toward a life where you are in control, not them. The moment the mask breaks may feel like an ending, but in reality, it is the beginning. It is the start of a new chapter, where you no longer live inside their illusion, but inside your own truth. This is where your story shifts, where you step into the greatest chapter of your life, a chapter defined not by their control, but by your freedom, your clarity, and your unshakable strength. When the narcissist's mask finally breaks, It can feel shocking, even painful. But it's also the moment of clarity, the point where you finally see the difference between illusion and truth. It is a moment of profound psychological crisis for them, but for you, it is a moment of liberation. You see the truth, and that truth sets you free. And once you see it, you're no longer trapped. You are no longer a pawn in their game. You are no longer a source of supply. You are a person, whole and complete, on your own. A person who is capable of love, peace, and authenticity. If this video brought you insight, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You never know who else might need this message today. Your support helps spread awareness and might just be the light someone else needs to see a way out. And always remember, you're stronger than the mask they hide behind.